So, the last thing I wanted to talk about here is my first record, or rather, I should say, my new small record collection. Um, I never really intended on getting a vinyl collection. I mean, unless you're really super into music, I don't think anyone really intends on starting a record collection, other than that exception I just gave, which is that you're really into music and you want to play vinyl, but I'm getting way off track here. I ended up purchasing my first record from the good old folks at Fangamer because over the holidays they were having a sale, or actually this might have been their last chance sale. They have they have a constant sale for items that are like, we're not going to be making this item anymore. And one of those items that they had on there was the soundtrack for Mother. That's the prequel to Earthbound, now known as Earthbound Beginnings here in the West. And the reason I wanted it is because the Mother soundtrack is actually really unique in that despite the fact that it's for an 8-bit Famicom/NES game, all the tracks are actually professionally recorded vocal tracks on side A. On side B, they're all the 8-bit tracks. So I just kind of got lucky in that I was like, oh man, I've wanted this soundtrack. It's on vinyl. Now I guess I have to get a record player. After that, I just kind of started buying more and more and more records until I have this like small 10-ish record collection. As far as what I have, there should be footage of this here too. You won't be able to see it. I have the Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe vinyl soundtrack. But the problem that I faced with that was when I had it sent to me from Ship to Shore Phono Company and opened the shrink wrap sealed record, there was no record in it for sides A and B. So if you don't know how records work, and I've learned this myself, when you have multiple LPs or vinyls or records, whatever term you want to use for it, in an album, the first one gets labeled side A and side B, and the second one is side C and side D, and so on, depending on how many are in there. Basically, it's just the same as saying, like, this is record 1, side 1. Kind of like you'd have in a cassette, I guess, because I think those had sides A and B as well. But I was missing the entire first record, so that won't be pictured, and I'm going to be getting a new copy, hopefully sent to me soon, because I returned it to them, to the fine folks at Ship to Shore, and explained the whole problem to them. We'll see what happens. Then I got Banjo-Kazooie pretty recently. That one's a big soundtrack. That one has 4 LPs in it. God, I don't know why I'm trying to think of all the ones I have off the top of my head, but you'll see them in footage. I know I have Klonoa, Door to Phantomile. That might have been the one that sparked this whole interest, because I think I found that one first, and then Mother happened to just be on sale. Let's see, I know I have Wilmot's Warehouse. That's a game that Lex really likes. Actually, I think she was technically the one who wanted that. I know I have Golf Story. That's a pretty good soundtrack. Very calming soundtrack. I have Untitled Goose Game. And the fun thing about that LP is that I believe I got mine in orange, but they make that vinyl out of all recycled vinyl from IM8-bit. So you'll get a completely different color from what I'll get and a completely different color from what someone else get. I have Mother 1 and I have Mother 2. Obviously, I already talked about Mother. Now I have Mother 2 to go with it. I don't know. You'll be able to see a bunch of the ones there in the footage. And I've listened to just about all of them, and they're all, I mean, people talk about records having like the cleanest sound, and I really can't judge that well, I guess, because the player that I have is a generic cheapo, and I mean like cheaper than, or about the same price as some of the records themselves, a Victrola suitcase-style Bluetooth record player. And the thing that I've learned about it is that it seems like these aren't really what you want to have for a serious record collection. Again, kind of, funnily enough, kind of like the intro to gaming topic I did. I'm on the receiving end of learning, like introducing myself to vinyl here. And essentially what I've learned is this is like a sort of stopgap type of player for me. Like, this is like, it works for now. You really don't want to use this in the long term, because people have said that it supposedly, quote unquote, eats up your vinyls or your records. But it sounds like the real evidence on that is a little bit more mixed than some audiophiles are willing to tell you. But yeah, I mean, again, kind of like with the Amiibo, when I have my own place, I'm hoping to get a better player than what I have, because hopefully I'll have more money for a better player. And it just kind of works for now. Just kind of like how hanging these up here works for now. I just can't, I just want to keep them safe until I can officially take them home to what will be my home that I own or I rent and use them. But I haven't really had many problems. Apparently, there's also some issues with like low tones with it as well, or like low pitch sounds in music that it like skips some of it. I haven't really observed this much, but I'll have to see what happens. And I'm really wondering like how big my collection's gonna end up being. I'm at about 10 already, which is shocking. I never thought I'd have one, let alone 10. And really, the size of my collection depends on how much game music comes out on vinyl, because I don't really listen to much music as far as conventional music that gets played on the radio or even like, independent stuff. I don't follow music. That's just a me problem. So it just depends on like, hey, there's plans from Ship to Shore that there's going to be some Capcom soundtracks this year. Is there going to be a certain attorney that's getting some music out? Because I will tell you right now, if I hear that there will be a vinyl version of the orchestra soundtracks from Ace Attorney that have been done from 2008 and 2015, either one, I don't care which one, I will be buying that day one, because I have wanted that soundtrack forever. Or like the jazz one, or the piano one, or even just the plain Jane soundtracks from Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, any one of those games. I'll be snapping those up for sure. I know if you looked at the footage, there should be, or the B-roll I should say, there should be one non-video game vinyl in there from Panic at the Disco. That's Lex's. She wanted a record for it as well, because we paid for it together. And that's fine. I'm sure any non-game vinyl probably isn't going to be mine. So let's see. Otherwise, I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to play with it much, because I don't have it here. I have it at her place. So hopefully, again, once I or we have a place of our own, maybe I'll be able to play it more. Or maybe, worst case scenario, I have to get my own for my own place. That all just depends on how relationships go. Not that I want to be a pessimist about it, because that would be horrible. But I also have to be realistic. I have to be, be open to any and all conclusions. And really the thing that I'm most curious about with this still is, it sounds like maintaining a collection like this is going to be a hassle. At least as far as like, I have to, if I really want to have a like strong collection, or maybe it's not so much with the collection, have a good player, I have to change the needle every so often. I have to make sure that it is properly calibrated and aligned, so that when you have the record, the needle on the outside, it goes on the same, like a proper arc, so that it's not scratching up one side of the sound waves in the God, I really should not have been sitting like that. One side of the track more than another. So we'll just have to see what happens there. I'm trying to remember what else. I watched some of the intro level stuff. Of course, I have to get a better player itself, and it sounds like it's important to keep your records clean, which, I mean, of course you should keep everything clean, but like I'd have to do special effort to clean these, just like I have to go through special effort of cleaning cartridge games, as far as using like rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip and all that sort of stuff. So it's just fun. I'm really curious to see what is going to happen in the future of this new collection, because like I said, it was never something I intended on getting. I guess if I, were ever in a place where I was in financial straits and had to get rid of something, that would probably be One of the first ones I would get rid of, because like I said, it wasn't something I ever intended on necessarily getting in the first place, so... But what can you do? That's the fun of getting into a new experience and trying something that you weren't necessarily certain you would be passionate about. But, I'm excited for it. I like game music. I would like to actually have physical copies of game music rather than just, listening to MP3s. And if vinyl's the way I'm going to listen to it, vinyl's going to be the way I'm going to listen to it. And that should be fun. Like, if I can get Ace Attorney vinyls, and if I can get a Freedom Planet vinyl, just saying, or Super Mario Odyssey vinyl, oh, that'd be fantastic. I would love to, listen to those whenever I'm in the mood for some music. But that should cover all 4 topics for today's Creative Outlet podcast. This one actually came out the teeniest bit shorter than the latest ones. We're looking at about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm glad to be back here doing this. I've been thinking about it for the last week and a half. Like, man, I really wish I could record something, and lo and behold, look what I did. I recorded something. So please, as always, do your typical form of engagement depending on your platform. That could be a like, that could be a subscription, that could be thumbs up. I'm not sure exactly what all the audio platforms let you do. Share this show out to other people who you may think are interested in listening to me. If you're on anchor.fm/THECOP, you can always send me a voice message. I have not quite figured out how I would be able to incorporate these into the show yet, but I'm going to try. I may have to get a mixing board, worst case scenario, to mix in audio from the mic and from the computer. I'm not certain yet. That's going to be a fun thing to learn about. But either way, I look forward to pretending to see everyone in the next episode of the Creative Outlet Podcast. This is Brandon Pudwill signing out, and thank you much again for listening today.